to PyMC. And so I'm going through the steps, and the first step, it says you'll need to have a GitHub account, and I do have a GitHub account. This is my GitHub account at Reshama S. The next thing is install Git. I have Git installed, and the way that I can check is I'm going to do git -- version, and it tells me I have version 2.19.0. Next, it's going to say Conda, and so I'm going to do the same thing here. I have that one. I have Conda 4.10 installed. And we can pick from one of these text editors: Atom, Visual Studio Code, Sublime Text, PyCharm. There are others as well. I have Visual Studio Code installed. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the PyMC repo, and I'm going to fork it. And I have that open over here. And so maybe I'll just make this a little bit bigger. And so what I'm going to do is hit fork. I'm going to fork it under my username. And there we see it's Reshama S/PyMC, and it's forked from the main repo. I am going to copy this. For me, I have my SSH key set up, so I'm going to use this. If you don't, you can always use this HTTPS URL as well. So if I go back to the instructions, I forked it, opened a command line interface, which I have open, and I'm going to have git clone. So just for me, I have a folder called software build where I have cloned other packages, so I'm going to do it here. So I'm going to do git clone. There we go. Notice it takes a little bit of time, given the size of the repo. And while I'm waiting for that to do, this is an example with Spanish. I'm going to then cd into that repo, and then I'm going to add an upstream. So that's done. So if I list here, notice I now have PyMC. I'm going to cd into PyMC. And notice I'm going to do git remote -v to see what remote. And it says my remote name is origin, and it points to my forked repo. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to do git remote add upstream. So I'm going to do git remote add upstream. And the URL, I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to open this in another tab. And I can get the SSH URL, because that's the one that I'm using. I'm going to paste it here, and I'm going to add that there. Now, if I do git remote -v again, notice that I have another remote called upstream, and it points to the main PyMC repo, and the origin one points to my forked repo. And a remote is, a copy of a repo. So I'm going to just clear my screen. I'll just do this again so it's at the top. Okay. I'm going to go back to the instructions, and I've done the cd, git remote, and I am confirming that I have origin and upstream there. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a doc string to work on, and I have picked one out. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a feature branch, and I'm going to call it git checkout -v. I can also copy this from here and go here. So paste here. And what I'm doing is I am creating a new branch called docstring_update, and I'm going into that branch by hitting git checkout. So notice right now I'm on my main branch. So it tells me that switch to a new branch. I am now on the docstring_update branch. Okay. So the next thing that I can do is I'm going to create my virtual environment, and I am using Conda. And so, I am on, I'm on Mac. I use Mac. So I'm going to go over here. And what this is saying is Conda create this virtual environment, and put it under Conda environments and call it that. while that's going, I'm just going to go back to this repo commit. And actually, there seems to be this environment. Something else. Okay. To the instructions. This command can also take a while, but should start writing output immediately. If it finishes successfully, the last lines printed will be done and to activate. So let's see. Just going to check my notes and make sure I've gone over everything. Conda, Python, text editor. Okay. And these are the packages that are being installed within this virtual environment. And there we go. It says we are seeing the message that we should be seeing. We're going to activate the virtual environment. So I can copy here, or I can do it's there, and I'm going to hit this, Conda activate the virtual environment. Notice right now I'm in my base environment, which is my default working environment for Conda. And now I am in the PyMC-dev.py38 virtual environment. So I come back here, and this command has no output, but if you want, you can check it with the command conda list, which should print all the packages installed starting with. So let's do conda list. And these are all the packages that were installed. Okay. Clear. Now we're going to install PyMC. So we're building it from source. So it's pip install -e space dot. And this is what my output looks like because I have some things installed. And it tells me successfully installed. There we go. I have that message here. It's version 4.0.0. Okay. Then activate pre-commit. It would help auto-formatting the code for you. So this is great. I'm going to do pip install pre-commit. And there we go. And then it's going to say on success will show pre-commit installed at, let's see. It looks like I already have it installed because I have used it for other libraries. comments, but you may see a different message. So now I'm going to open the file with my text editor. Just a reminder that I am in the PyMC repo, and these are the files. So I'm going to open it with Visual Studio Code. So for me, I'm going to do code dot because it's configured that way. Okay. And so I have already picked out a file that I'm going to work on, and I have a note here. So I'm going to go to my note, and I am going to go to PyMC sampling.py. So let's go to PyMC, and I will go to sampling.py, Python. Okay. And if I go back to the instructions, in this example, they use PyMC.uniform class. What I will do is I'm picking another docstring, and I'm going to open up the docstring style guide, and it gives me some instructions on what I can do. And so, for example, here's a short summary. We want to make sure there's preferably a single short description of the object. We want to make sure that in terms of the parameters, it says this is a section that will most probably need more work. So there should be a colon between an argument and such. And so I am going to go here. And I'm going to go to the very first class, the very first function, which actually is def instantiate _ steppers. And one of the requirements for the NumPy documentation is I have to have a period at the end of this, so I'm going to put it in there. Fully specified model object. This is a list, and so I'm going to specify that it is. I made a note, so I would have my information already for this, but I'm going to say that it's an array-like of shape, and this is something that I sort of, I just figured out by reading the NumPy information. So it's an array-like of shape selected steps. I think this is the shape of it. I'm going to submit the PR and I'll get feedback and see if I'm actually right. This says this is a dictionary. This is a dictionary. Right here it says defaults to none. And so I'm going to add a note here that says default equals none. And let's see if they're okay with, if the maintainers are okay with these changes that I made. Methods list or step. This also has a period at the end of it. And so I'm just going to do this one function as an example. So I'm going to save this. Okay. I'm going to go back to this, and I'm going to do git status. And it looks like this is the file that I changed. So I'm going to do git add PyMC/sampling. I'm going to do git status again, and it's in green because it's been modified. So now I'm going to git commit -m, fixed NumPy docstring for function. What function was that? It was this one here with those instantiate steppers. So I'm going to put that into my, and this is my very first PR to the PyMC repo. So let's see. All right, when I do git status again, notice it says on branch, nothing to commit, working clean. Now I'm going to push to there. So I'm going to do git push origin, and I'm going to push to this branch, docstring _update, and it says it's pushed. Okay. Now I'm going to come back here. This is where this is my remote that I pushed to, which is Reshama. It's the origin repo. And so I can compare pull request. And this is my commit message that's there. And I'm going to read this message here. It says, oh, it looks like this is your first time opening a pull request in this project. It is. Be sure to review the contributing guidelines and code of conduct. I'm going to open up the contributing guidelines, which are here. And it says, scientific driven project. These guidelines also, there are 4 ways of contributing, opening up issues, pull request. This is instructions on how to do it, and I have done that. Pull request checklist, addresses. I don't have a specific issue that it's addressing. Please prefix the title with work in progress. Okay, I don't think it's a WLP for me. One example script, it's not. This is a very simple documentation change that I'm adding. And so, but it's good to read this over, especially if I'm making a code change. All right, so I'm going to come back here, and I am now going to, come back here, and I am going to compare and pull request. So notice I have in the PyMC repo, in the main branch, I want to submit a pull request from my forked repo for this branch to do it. So it says, thank you, and then I'm going to read this. Depending on what your PR does, here are a few things you might want to address in the description. What are the breaking changes that this PR makes? None. Important background or details? None. Are the changes? No. Linting, I ran the pre-commit, so I think I can mark that one off. Relevant, no, it's not necessary. Okay. And then I am just going to add a note here that says, doing the NumPy validation. Doing NumPy doc validation in sampling.py. All right, and I keep this checked so the maintainers can make any edits, and I'm going to create the pull request. And so I marked that one. And I am going to, there's just one more thing that I want to do. I want to edit this, and I want to make sure it gets to data umbrella PyMC sprint. Data umbrella PyMC sprint. I'm going to update the comment so we can track it. And so what's happening now is that there's a check that's going on. So docs, read the docs. There's some building docs going on. So let's see, I'm going to go back to it, and this may take, it says 4 workflows awaiting approval. First-time contributors need a maintainer to approve running workflows. Okay, so it looks like I have submitted my first pull request, and I will wait and see what happens. This is great. And thank you for So it looks like Canyon289, who is Raveen Kumar, who is a maintainer on PyMC, approved my changes. He thanks me for my contribution. Thanks for the contribution. Waiting for CI, which is continuous integration, to pass before merging. And so this is the workflow that is run, and it's tests that make sure that things are working, like just in terms of compatibility, if it runs on Ubuntu and Linux and Mac, if the changes are okay. And this is the workflow that needed to be approved because I was a first-time contributor, because it takes a bit of bandwidth and also credits to run this. So they just want to make sure that it's someone who is legitimately working on the repository. And so, yeah, it looks like it's going to get merged in after the CI test pass. So that's great.